So just first sharing your name with us, if you like.
I'm Barbara.
Barbara. Could you share a little bit about your journey and what inspired you to practice yoga?
I don't know. I started doing yoga on and off when I first moved to Jersey City, which was in 2000.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
I heard about someone who's doing yoga in their art studio nearby from where I live. And I went a few times, and it was great. I mean, felt very organic. I started to feel some kind of a community there, which I really liked. And I continued to go to classes or see that yoga teacher on and off all the way through, until I got to move from there in 2022.
Wow.
So, but I would like yoga and meditation and
Right.
life.
Yeah.
You kind of
The flow
leave
of it.
things
Yeah.
and come back to them.
Yeah.
You always have to start where you are.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I'm starting where I am right now again with yoga. I kind of
Yeah.
was away from it for a few months, and life happens, and yeah.
It does. Yeah.
So it's been a good journey, but it hasn't been a consistent one,
Right.
for sure. Yeah, and there were times that I didn't have a place to land, and yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm kind of go away from that.
Yeah, the ebbs and flows of it.
Yeah.
That's so cool though that an art, so it was like in an art studio the first time you ever.
Yeah, there was like this
cool.
live work lofts, which unfortunately, a few years into the experience for
Yeah.
me, they tore down the building. So maybe it was like 5 years. I don't really remember when it
Yeah.
happened, but they tore down the building, and so she actually found an actual
Yoga
yoga
studio.
studio. And that's when she started having other yoga teachers come
Okay,
as
okay.
well. So she had that kind of yoga studio
Yeah.
like business thing
Right.
going on. And then the pandemic happened,
Right.
and she kept the space until and then maybe in 2021 she left this,
Yeah.
her lease was coming for renewal. She decided not to do that anymore. And then she started teaching out of her, home loft again, which is just like kind of coming back
Yeah,
to those
full
like
circle.
early roots.
Yeah.
And she's like a really lovely teacher.
Wow. How cool. Wow. You've been in yoga for a bit.
I have, but I'm not great at it.
You are
I'm
though.
not, I'm like, now I have all these like issues with my feet and things like that, and I'm just like, oh, just start where you are. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't, but I think that like, to me, that like, cause it's been part of it's so much more than physical practice
Right.
though.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And that's just
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Cause I remember when we first met, you shared that like you had just moved and like you had been practicing. And so when I'm reflecting on that, I'm like, no, you practiced with a group of people or a teacher, a group of teachers for like a really long time. Even if it was on and off. Even if it was on.
I mean, I had a kid in between, and that meant like I didn't do it for a really long time, not consistently for a very long time.
Right.
And then I just started coming back to it, and
Yeah.
then
What did you first notice about the studio Peace of Mind, and how did you feel after your first initial yoga session? If you can remember.
So I do remember meeting you all it was like in December
Yeah,
of 22, I think, because that's
Yeah.
like, we had just lived here for like 3 months. I'd been kind of looking for a yoga place, and heard about this place. So it's great that I could meet you all.
Yeah.
You came and gave me a tour of the studio, which was like lovely. You were just sitting there, so it was like easy. And And then I didn't actually start coming until like a month later, but I did do a workshop with Michelle, I think, on intentions.
Okay.
It was like first in the year, so that was my first experience at the studio, actually. So, and there were just 2 or 3 of us there. It's a pretty small
Yeah.
group.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a good way to start the year and to start off. And then I tried it out for a month. I don't remember the first yoga class though, really. Um, yeah, it was, I just started coming.
Yeah.
And I started coming as much as I could.
I know.
So I feel like
our number.
I like, yeah, it was like, I don't know, there was some deal for an annual membership and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go for it.
Yeah.
So I took the annual membership after that first month and I just went with it and I came like, I don't know, like
You probably
5 to 7
Yeah.
times a week, like some days I would come twice.
It's so good though.
And I did that a lot, and then I sort of tapered off towards
Yeah.
the end of the year, but I
Yeah.
still was coming pretty often,
Yeah.
at least twice a week.
Your name was on that board.
I know. And then life happened.
Yeah.
My son had this accident, and I've kind of struggled to come back. Like
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time, you know, getting here.
Yeah.
So I've only been not even every week, but I'm able to
Yeah.
get it right now.
That's okay though.
Where I am.
That's where you are.
And I told my husband, yeah, I'm gonna go at 7 a.m. He's like, really? Why all of a sudden you didn't? Because it's like, I can. And I
Yeah.
was like, I'm gonna meet Joelle right
Yeah.
after, so.
Perfect. Yeah. Good. In your yoga journey, could you share with us about a challenge you've encountered and how you've grown from it? I feel like even that question, it's like more like, how has your, like, it's like life using yoga to facilitate too. It doesn't have to be necessarily like I want to get my leg up or something.
I think I've already said this, but it's just like knowing that things happen in life and you're not always gonna be in the same place, like maybe like, I mean, there was one stage I was like doing headstands and all of these things, like
Yeah,
long ago. I am nowhere near that now.
right.
But just being able to just come back to just keep going. And that's what, I mean, that's what I'm trying to do in life.
Yeah,
Keep going, be aware of my body and my mind and be able to, just, I mean, there's always this thing, 90% is just showing up. So just
yeah,
keep trying to show up and, experience. something cool.
yeah,
I, even though I can't do a headstand right now, I can still come back to the mat.
right. The headstand shows up at the
Yeah. When you're not least
How has being part of Peace of Mind Yoga community influenced your practice and life beyond the studio?
It's been a great place to find community, and I've really appreciated not just the yoga part of it, but like the other, the other things you all have been trying to do to create community,
Yeah,
which I think also comes back to like when you're showing up in a class, you're coming to practice together and you know some of the people beyond just like a hello because you've had a deeper conversation and you've done something together. So I really appreciated that. I love I guess they're like quarterly member events. I haven't been able to make all of them, but I like the ones that are even just like what the yoga studio could do, and then you like come up with all these ideas.
Yeah.
And some of them happen, so that's been really nice. Yeah, sometimes I wondered if like I came here to work, like I didn't know where I was gonna land.
Right.
Or,
Right.
kind of dirty suburbs, and I was like, oh, maybe the yoga, I was here because of the yoga studios.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I needed to find, some place to kind of anchor, this like desire to have practice, spiritual or personal growth, opportunities.
Yeah. In what ways has yoga helped enhance your mental tranquility and manage the stresses of daily life?
And yoga and meditation. It's it's an awareness of your body, breath, mind, finding ways to move through difficult or maybe even not joyful things too.
Yeah.
And be more aware and really notice and kind of be more present, and just taking that into life when you
Yeah.
can. I do my fair share of unhealthy scrolling and all of that stuff.
As we
but
all
like,
do, like we're.
but like I know that I can come back to this, and sometimes I'm like, you're like when you get swept up in your thoughts when you're practicing maybe or meditating, get swept up in something, and all of a sudden I just like take a deep breath.
Yeah.
And I'll let it go. Let it go down the river.
That's such a good visual down the river of like taking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. With ease too, although rivers sometimes they're rolling.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep.
As you look to your future, what goals do you have for your yoga practice and how do you see peace of mind supporting you on that path?
The one thing I've wanted to do all these years, and I have not really managed, is to have a home practice. So like, which I had hoped like by coming so often,
It would translate.
it would help me to
Yeah.
do that at home, which it sometimes does, but I haven't really gotten there. I
Yeah.
haven't gotten there to like sit every day or to, do even a simple flow or something at home. So I'd really like to somehow get in a space where I'm doing that. But it did help to be able to come here. I don't know, the annual membership for me was really helpful because I guess it could go the other way, like you buy the thing, you forget about it, or you buy, you get that kind of access.
Right.
But for me, it just meant like I could sign up for the things and then once in a while I would, but my practice was to like every week look at the classes I wanted to take and just sign up for them, and it just became part of my routine, which is like super helpful. So in some ways, it got me closer to having at least a daily practice, if not at home, close here.
Yeah.
So that was helpful, and I'm hoping to get back to that.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of my goals.
Yeah.
Like the more you practice, it's like the more you work out, the more like if you want to be a runner, you have to run, right?
Right. It's
So.
like exercising, whatever it may be.
Right.
Yeah. Me too. I'm thinking like home practice, because like even as yoga teachers, it's like I think sometimes just the idea like it's like every single day you're doing practice and like you find different ways that you bring it in, but it's a practice.
Yeah.
It's I think too something about it that it's just creating a bit of ritual around whatever, even if it's like coming to the studio.
Yeah.
We're all there. We're all in the same, like it's like we're in different boats, but like we're all in the same rivers.
Well, I can drink my coffee every morning. What can I say? And I bring this stuff also to my office to work. I mean, it's more about the meditation side of practice. And like my team has kind of known, and sometimes I've brought like guided meditation or different things like that. And like now there's somebody else who's sort of got an interest in it, and they're like a little bit better about being able to bring people together.
Yeah,
But we're like, we meditate 10 minutes every day. Like sometime during the day, we just stop and we're like, do you want to sit? Okay. And just, we bought meditation chairs and like play it out loud.
that's so
And
good.
we even have our executive director is now joining us and stuff, but we're a small team. We're only 7. So, but
Yeah,
we've
but-
got like at least half the team is doing this every day now.
That's amazing.
And then we've got some other colleagues that started doing yoga once a week. I'm like, do you want to join them? Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Even if it's just for a half hour.
Yeah.
So,
That's the thing too, it's like I guess I should change the thought of that a little bit. It's more in terms of the sit down, but I think like even being like, if I take a breath,
yeah.
like that is a part of the home practice.
Oh, yeah,
You
for
know,
sure. Like a little reset.
it totally,
Yeah.
totally.
I don't remember what the question was anymore, but
That's okay.
I've been trying to convince my son, like, you should try yoga.
Yeah.
Come with me one day.
Yeah.
He's 14 and he's like really not interested, but a lot of the like breathing stuff has really helped because he's had, since he had this accident, he's had a lot of trouble, like regulating, emotional regulation, and we used a lot of breathing stuff. I mean, sometimes it doesn't work,
Right,
but when it does,
it
it's like,
does, yeah,
thank you.
yeah,
And like he's been trying some other thing he's working with. But
Yeah.
he's like trying some other things, but they really incorporate like get in your body,
yeah,
get to present, stop going down that road that's
Right.
making you so anxious.
yeah,
But like trying to do that with him also reinforces like for me, like when
Mhm.
I'm getting frustrated or
Yeah.
something, to take that breath or that step.
yeah. Yeah, it's pretty powerful,
Yeah.
just how like breath there. Yes. Whew. Sometimes doesn't, but like, you need to find a different breath.
Yeah, or you need to move. or you
Yeah.
need to,
Move, be still, run, jump, shake, yeah. What guidance would you offer to someone curious about starting yoga but uncertain about taking the first step?
You just have to jump in and try it, I think.
Yeah,
I think it can be less intimidating if they feel like they're coming into like a beginner class. Sometimes, I
yeah,
don't know, I was just trying to think about, I mean, it's also good for people, beginner classes are good for people who are very experienced too,
right.
because it kind of brings you back to the basics. and
Yeah.
reminds you of all those things. I don't know, I've seen people like bring a buddy or something like that to try it out too.
Yeah.
I also think you can just try different spaces to try it out as well, different. Especially in this area, there
Explore
are
it,
like different
yeah.
places that you can go and see which one feels.
Feels like the right fit,
Yeah,
yeah,
but I would say try, teachers are also different, so try different teachers like that.
yeah,
I recommend getting like, a lot of times folks have like these passes for
Mhm.
3 weeks or a month or whatever, and you can do unlimited. That I would recommend doing that.
Yeah. Cause then you get to try so many different teachers, you get to feel it out for a lot of like
Yeah.
multiple days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think just going one off, you might not.
Mhm.
And I just come in without any expectation. I don't know, that's hard, but just try to be present in that.
Yeah, no expectations, so that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause it lets you like kind of like perceive what's happening about. Preconceived notion about what it's going to be.
Yeah.
It gives yourself more of an opportunity to just
Yeah.
experience what it really feels like.
Yep.
Yeah. One our last question. Do you have a special story or something that like sticks out to you from your yoga practice that might resonate with others or maybe others?
Special.
Yeah, just something that like I mean, I think everything you've shared thus far, I do think that it does that, like it resonates that.
Mm. I don't know. Um,
I mean, I think you just even sharing like that every time at different phases of your life, it's been a
yeah,
different deal.
a different deal.
Yeah.
I think maybe this isn't what you asked, but this is where my mind is going. So this is what you're gonna get. I don't know. I feel like when I first started, I thought I had this idea of like, this is yoga and like I'm gonna be able to do these headstands and all this other like crazy stuff after, not crazy, but like
Yeah.
really look at the like master yogis,
Right.
all the stuff they can do. Like maybe I'll get to that. You know, some things I did dabble in a little bit,
Right.
but now I'm like totally give myself permission to use the props to not do everything that everybody else is doing because I can't right now. Now I have like, I still have a, you know, my shin hurts and this, you know, I have different, you know, I've had different injuries at different times and just giving myself permission to, I don't know, get help or ask the yoga teacher for advice. Sometimes tell them like, oh, I have this like, I'm having this problem with my foot. I can't do X, Y, or Z again. Just which also helps you like be a little bit more accepting of yourself, right? And maybe your limitations, but also realizing sometimes you need help or it doesn't always look that pretty, but you still are getting some kind of benefit from it. So I don't know, just coming away with just being a little bit more accepting of myself, which has helped in so many other areas. And also like giving other people grace, like not being so rigid with other people, like realizing that, you know, there might be something else going on with that person. And I don't need to like, you know, put more like, I don't know, fuel on a fire or something like that. And just like be a little bit more accepting and open and less, I don't know, there's so many different ways that people show up in this world and that's okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to be the one who has the headstand or
Right.
something like that.
Yeah.
Just finding a little more peace.
Yeah.
Myself.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, we did it. We did it.
You did it.
But now you have to tell me a little bit about your journey because I just need to know because I hardly get to see you.
I know.
Because you're the time that you teach here that
I know
I'm not available.
I know.
And I haven't made your workshops even, which is really terrible, but I think I maybe did one class with you. Maybe you were filling in for somebody else.
Yeah, you've taken my class a couple of times, I feel like.
Okay.
I think on a Friday night or something, I slept and you probably took
yeah.
my class or on the weekend.
Yeah.
I slept. You wanna know? My yoga journey, like how I even came to teach maybe?
Yeah.
Well, I feel like there is, you know, it's like little pieces I think throughout your life that are kind of like left at different times and you come back to them.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad did yoga. I grew up with my dad doing yoga on like VHS. Like I'd just like come downstairs and be like doing a video. So I do like remember it as a kid in certain ways. And I had a friend in high school, or no, actually it was in middle school. She like got into yoga randomly. It was like her thing. So I like had different pieces of it as a kid. But I really got into the practice because after I graduated from Ailey, after dancing in school, I was like, I need to find something to move my body. So I've been going, at the time it was more like physical, because I've been going from like dancing like 40 hours a week, and I was like, how am I gonna keep my body still like moving in a certain capacity? And then I went to a studio, I tried it out for a month, and I was like, oh, I wasn't so into it in terms of that specific space. I enjoyed it, but I was like the wall, the space that I was holding in terms of it. And then I found another space and I loved it. And then I was like, oh, like this is a practice that it became so much more than the physical. Really a lot more than the physical. And it kind of like it was like the first step in a lot of my own personal expansion outside of like a world that I lived in for a really long time. Which is like dance. And then I've been practicing on my own probably for like a year and a half or maybe it was 2 years. And then I was curious about what it would feel like to teach it or learn even more about it. And then I did my teacher training, and then just kind of like one thing led to the next. And it's kind of just been so I've been teaching yoga for 6 years. Yeah, wow, 6 years already. Yeah. But it's been a part of my life. Like it was like little breadcrumbs. At different times, I think, throughout my whole life, but and it's morphed and changed. Like that's what I mean. Like even like I was at one point like handstands, headstands, like doing all of that more of like the physical aspect, and then as you grow, and I think as I've matured and come more into adulthood and my life for the past 10 years, from 20 to 30, like even how things change in terms of your understanding of self. And just like how the physical practice also shifts. Like you were talking about props, like, yeah, maybe I can do something and I don't need the props. Maybe today I want a little bit of support. It's different things like that. Like even if you can, doesn't mean you have to.
Right.
And it's yoga to me has like led to, it was just like it feels like another breadcrumb of understanding of self. It's led to like my understanding of my own spirituality and my connection to things that are bigger than myself, like to Reiki, to other somatic practices, to a lot of like the mind-body connection. Yeah, it's all connected. Yeah, so a little bit.
Yeah. Do you have any ideas of what you want to do going forward with practice or
with yoga? I feel like for me, I feel like I would, like when I was saying, I was like, I mean, I would love to have more physical practice more often. I feel like I practice off the mat all the time. I feel like the principles of yoga, before I even knew that they were principles of yoga, I was moving through life like that. So I think too, like when I came to yoga and there was like, it almost put a lot of my understanding of the world. It was like, oh, this is like, it's held here. How I feel about the world, how I connect with the world, how I connect with people. It was like, oh, this is a place for it to land in certain ways. But yoga to me feels just like our life, as present and as honest and authentic we could be within our own life and experience. Just like, yeah. It feels so much more than the physical practice. Although right now, presently, I think because there was a period of time where I was so much in the physical practice. And then there was a period of time where I experienced a lot of stillness, which was exactly what I needed. And then there's other movement modalities that I've been in. And now I'm like really curious to meet myself again in a more physical practice and what it would feel like with my understanding of self now. Me knowing my body so much more, me understanding my experience in the world so much more. Yeah, for me, it feels like more of a curiosity. Yeah, super. We do that.